Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 17th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Paul Thomas Anderson's number one fanboy, Liam.
Hello.
And my fellow... Yeah, I'll go with that one. My fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator, Jaden.
G'day. What was the other one? I've already forgotten it. Oh, God.
Yeah, I've given myself options now, and I don't like it. I actually had to stop and consider Disney's number one hater. Yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Throws me off a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single week. The show posts every single Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like us, follow us, all the good stuff. I will say, I'll try not to take any personal offense. Not enough YouTube subscribers, guys, Only got, what? I think I actually saw a decrease the other, very recently, like yesterday or something. Slightly offended. All right, let's get those subscription numbers up. We see you listening to the show. If you're listening to the show, you're listening to my dumbass voice right now and you're not subscribed on the YouTube channel.
Shameful.
Very shameful. Absolutely. Anyway, sorry about that. Remember to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews for or whatever you want next week's film. We'll read all that stuff at the end of the show as always, but we've got our specific question prompt of the week, and we're going to ask you this week to put in the comments, what's a movie, this totally isn't fitting for today's episode at all, complete coincidence. What's a movie so bad that you haven't finished it? You're just watching it, it's absolute trash, I can't stand this any longer. We've all, I think, had that at one point or another, so let us know, what's a movie so bad you haven't finished it? Today we're doing Artemis Fowl, which is a movie with, a reputation. I'll say that much. I think that's, the sole reason. It's a brand new 2020 film, which is, slightly appealing, but the fact that it's kind of been received so awfully, I knew that prior to watching it. So, yeah, that's what made it appealing for us. But I'll get into the data dump and then I'm stoked to talk about it. So, Artemis Fowl debuted on Disney Plus on June 12th, 2020, not even a month ago, from the time we're recording this, and debuted on Disney Plus because there was a whole trivia bit. I could have put it in the trivia section. I didn't, just because it was friggin' enormous and I'm not reading that shit. But essentially, this film has had a very troubled, time in development. A lot of the film was shot 2 years ago, and there was all that shit with Harvey Weinstein that messed it up because he was a producer on the film, and then obviously COVID-19 for the film's theatrical release, destroying that. It was meant to come out in theaters in May, and that never happened. So in the end, we end up with a Disney Plus original film, which after watching it, I can't imagine it being anywhere else. I don't know. This film getting a theatrical run would have been interesting. The film was directed by Kenneth Branagh, which is just bewildering to me. Kenneth Branagh directed this movie. Holy shit. Kenneth Branagh, of course, is known for appearing in Christopher Nolan movies such as Dunkirk and the upcoming Tenet, and a very capable director and a very good actor. Yeah, it's kind of very strange. I feel like watching the movie. I don't want to get ahead of myself. The film was written by Conor McPherson and Hamish McColl. If it's you're Irish, is that McColl?
McCall, yeah, sure.
Sounds acceptable to you?
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. The film's... Oh, actually, no. I'm going to need your help on this one. The film stars... The kid's name. Ferdia Shaw? That was terrible. That's definitely not how you say it. Have you got any idea?
30 a shot, yeah. That's... I don't know, to be honest. Go with that.
You're letting down your culture, man. I don't know. I feel like that's wrong. There's some... Anyway, whatever. The little kid, the main character, Josh Gad, Colin Farrell, and Judi Dench. What an all-star cast here we got. The studio was, of course, Disney, naturally. The film won the 2020 Academy Award for Best Picture. Its genre is whatever you want. Family, adventure, torture, whatever. Had a runtime of 95 minutes. And the synopsis is, Artemis Fowl, a young criminal prodigy, hunts down a secret society of fairies to find his missing father. Jane, I'll start with you because you'd already been very assertive on Letterboxd, which I appreciate. What did you think of Artemis Fowl?
Do you want me to just read what I wrote on a letterbox, or do you want to?
Do whatever you like. Let us know what you thought.
On God, fuck everything about this movie except for Colin Farrell is what I wrote. I stand by that mostly. I think like Colin Farrell is the only decent part, and I think that like photography wise, some of the shots were. I think like the majority of the film was well shot. I think some of the CGI was a bit dodgy, but like they're the only two things I can compliment at all in this film. I genuinely hated the fact that I had to watch it. I hated the fact that I had to sit through there and just finish it. I mean, that's rare for me because like I always approach movies with an open mind. I was really open minded going into this. Like I knew about the
So was
bad
I.
reviews, but I was like, I like bad movies. They're all right, but I genuinely bloody hated this.
The fact that you liked Colin Farrell so much is even surprising to me. But okay, yeah. What about you, Fitzy?
It's pretty terrible. I mean, it fails on pretty much every level. And I mean, the worst thing about it, there's so much stuff that's wrong with it, but I think one of the worst things about it is that it's like, it doesn't even feel like, it doesn't even do the basics correctly. Like, it doesn't feel like an adventure movie because they shoot in like 2 locations. And so it just feels so like unfinished, and yeah, it's terrible. What about you?
Yeah, the movie's terrible. It's absolutely awful. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I really did, honestly. I didn't enjoy all of it. There were aspects I was really bored, absolutely, but I was there were multiple occasions where I could barely comprehend what I was seeing on screen. Where I was just I was just confounded. I'm still confounded thinking about it. I'm like, did that actually happen in this movie? And I think this movie needs to be seen to be truly appreciated because, like, oh, okay, there's moments in this movie, guys. There's some crazy moments, and I feel like I was, I got the experience of getting high for the first time, which was quite, exceptional for me. Watching this movie. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. It's just, it's terrible. I'm surprised that you were able to compliment that much about it, Jaden. To be honest.
What, just Colin Farrell and like like cinematography wise, I think it's pretty decent. I mean, like that's it.
Really?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like it's not spectacular, but I mean, like I think like the Fowl Manor, whatever it is, like it's a nice enough location and they shoot it well. That hideout in the mountains, the exterior shots, they're decent, and I think the fairy
oh yeah.
city is like it's cool enough to look at.
Yeah, that's fair.
The scenes in Italy are pretty nice to look at. I mean, apart from the fucking CGI troll, but like I think it's nice to look at like most of the movie. But like some when with like the time freeze stuff and like that collapsing Josh Gad's nightmare fuel jaw thing, you know, I think I think it balances out like the good and the bad in cinematography wise.
Yeah, dude, that troll looks like straight out of the Philosopher's Stone,
Mm.
which is really funny. Like 100% copy pasted asset, but yeah, 2001 CG. But yo, Fitzy, am I right in saying did you watch this movie 1.5 times? Like, did you actually go back to the start of it?
Oh no, I lied about that. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. No, as I was watching it, I'm like, if Fitzy actually did that, that's unbelievable. I mean, where should we start? I think there's a lot to dig into of many elements of the movie that's terrible. We can talk about
So
performances. We can talk about what do you want to talk about? I don't know.
should we jump in like with our history? So Fitzy, have you? I can't remember. Did you say you've read
Sure.
any of the novels?
No.
No. And Finney, you had no idea what it was prior to this.
Absolutely none.
Right. So I've read one of the novels when I was younger. I didn't think it was brilliant or anything, but it was it's a child's adventure story, whatever, and like it does the job. But I also know the author Owen Colfer because he's also written some short stories for like Doctor Who and he's done some other work. So like I do have a bit of a history, and that's why I was also hoping that it'd be decent enough because I am somewhat familiar with him. But yeah.
Okay. And so, knowing nothing about it, is this movie faithful to the story or to the characters in any way? Like, how does it?
Honestly,
differ?
can't recall a single thing about that book apart from the fact that I had like mild enjoyment from it.
Okay.
I remember like it was super popular amongst like my mates in like primary school, and it was like the hot book to read, and when you in silent reading and whatever. But you know,
Right.
I don't think 8 years later it's going to stand up to what my thoughts were.
I think, okay, I'm just going to throw out something that's terrible. What is... I don't understand anything in this movie. What is the plot of this movie? I couldn't comprehend what was happening half the time. It was just... I mean, clearly due to the production issues, I think it's clear that it's a cobbled together mess, and I think watching it makes it clear. There's just no logic to anything. I didn't understand what I was looking at half the time. I didn't understand who the friggin' female fairy person was. She kept saying she had a dad. I didn't know who this dad was. It took me halfway through the movie to realize he's not even in the movie. I thought, is she the sister of Artemis Fowl? I don't know. Am I a total dumbass, or was this plot incomprehensible?
I think I understood the gist of it, but it was very badly put together, strung together. Like Colin Farrell is trapped by this person. They want the what is it called? The big yellow thing? The
Oculus Rift.
The Oculus,
whatever.
Yeah. And they want it because I think it gives them power or something. And
it's the source of the fairy's power.
Right. And the way for Artemis to get it is to like do this whole thing and let the dwarf come in and get it.
But it was in his house the whole time.
Yeah, but he wasn't aware of that. He knew that the dwarf would be able to find it because of their attraction to treasure.
Did he know that? Okay.
Because because Daddy Artemis taught Junior Artemis about everything there is to know about fairies, and dwarves and shit. So it's like, and now Officer Short's dad gave the Aculus to Daddy Artemis to protect. Now, the villain, I think his name is Opal, was aware that Artemis Senior had the thing, so she took him. She, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. I thought that was going to be a reveal, and that just...
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
And she calls Junior, says, I want that for your dad. But he has no idea. But he knows that the dwarves would have an idea as to where it was. So this entire plan he sets up was all just to get one dwarf, pretty much, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, like, sure, the fundamentals of that I got. I just... How it was all playing out point by point, I just had... It made no sense to me whatsoever. Because... I could be totally tripping, but I feel like we had the... I have to skip over the Josh Gad drilling scene just for a second, because that was... yeah. But, so that happened. And then Josh Gad, like, breaks into the vault and he sees the Oculus Rift there. But then I swear to God, we cut to Artemis Fowl in the exact same spot Josh Gad was just standing in, and he's holding it too. And I was very confused by this. And then I didn't understand if they were in the same room or not. And but Josh Gad then swallowed it, but then he didn't swallow it because he had another one. I didn't understand. I didn't even understand how Colin Farrell came back at the end, to be honest. They did something. The house kind of exploded in some way.
Oh, yeah.
And then Colin Farrell was back, but the house was still trashed. So it's not time travel, but it may be. I had no idea what happened.
It was just they just teleported them from the lair to because...
Was that all it was?
Yeah, because the Aculus is the source of power, so the fairy uses it to boost her own power, and then she's like, I'll bring him back, and they bring him back. There's levels to this back levels.
Levels, yes, absolutely. Okay, but did Josh Gad not swallow it?
I think he did for protection, but then he regurgitated it.
But we never. But I swear to God, we just cut, and Artemis just has it in his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened?
Oh, and you know what the worst cut in the movie was when they had the whole time bubble thing, and they're like, it's dangerous, you got to go out before it explodes, and they're all inside of it, and then it explodes, and then they're all fine. It turns to days later. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That made no sense.
Nothing in this movie makes any sense to me anyway. Were you guys also confused who the fairy whatever her name was? Was it Short? Whatever her name was?
Yeah.
were you guys confused as to who she was? Because they kept alluding to some kind of she's trying to avenge her father or clear her father's name or some shit. And I'm like, is your father Josh Gad? Is your dad
No.
Colin Farrell?
No.
And I had no idea. And then it took me ages to realize her dad is no one we know.
Yeah, her dad is someone that she thinks was wronged by Colin Farrell, Artemis Fowl, and I think I haven't read the book, but I think the story is supposed to be like, there's this divide between fairies and humans, and they're like, the story is trying to be about companionship and like coming together, but they don't do it well, really.
No. This movie just has no rules. They established the time thing in the Italy scene, and where it's just I don't know, like a force field where time freezes within it, I guess. And they established that okay, everyone freezes except the fairy people. I get it, but then when they do it at the Artemis, the friggin' Fowl Manor place, like no one freezes. Everyone, what? Like
No.
the butler character doesn't. I don't get it. I got no idea.
Also, don't call him the butler because he'll snap you in half.
That's true. That's true. I don't want him snapping me in half.
Also, when I didn't understand the plan part. Like when the fairies are outside, and Artemis was like, "Oh, you can't come inside because that's part of my plan." And then they didn't come inside because they were like, "Oh, we can't come inside." But like, what was the reason?
It's kind of like like the vampire law, how like vampires aren't allowed to step foot inside your house unless you invite them in. I think it's like the same principle as that. It's just like part of their nature. That's what I thought it was.
I don't know. It seemed like the movie was trying to say that Artemis Fowl like set up something to make so they couldn't come inside. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It took me a second to realize you're talking about when he tells Judi Dench to her face, "You can't come inside," and then we cut to her inside. Right? Is that what
no, she's not inside the house, but they're like, yeah. He tells Judi Dench she can't come inside, and then she's like, "Oh, damn it, we can't come inside now."
Yeah,
like,
no.
And
I think it's because of that. I'm pretty sure it's because like that like magical law about creatures can't come in unless they're welcomed. I'm pretty sure it's just along those lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you understood more of this movie than I did, Jane. Because to be clear, like I'd like to think I'm not a total dumbass. Maybe actually, well, to be honest, I am. But regardless of that, this movie, if you haven't seen it, it was just so confusing to watch. It was just a convoluted mess in every sense of the word. Just need to make that clear.
Anyway, the performances were probably, the worst part.
Amazing.
God, what was with Judi Dench's fucking accent, voice, raspy thing?
God.
Why?
That was hurtful. Yeah, but I feel so bad for the kid because like he's gonna. This is like a stain on his life now. This movie.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
But it's not a good performance. I mean,
I thought Judi Dench was like the bad guy for a good part of the movie because like they had that similar like raspiness to their thing.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
I was like, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? And then like it turns out she's fine. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I thought it would be the short dad they kept alluding to because they kept talking about him. So I thought it'd be like, oh, it's the dad. That's the thing. But they don't reveal it because they want to set it up for like a sequel or something.
This movie's like subverting your expectations, but it's not even aware it's doing it. It's just that confusing. We got. What about Josh Gad though in this movie, guys? How good was he?
Oh God. It was amazing.
I feel so sorry for him because like I believe Josh Gad has talent naturally. In his position, he's a talented person, I guess. I haven't seen a lot of his work. I've got no doubt he's, competent at his job. But, like, what direction was he given in this movie? Just everything he said was so belonged. I don't even know where it belongs. Belongs on the lowest common denominator of media, wherever it belongs. It was
just unfunny as hell. Like, it was just, it was so, it got so grating and annoying, like. He's just I mean, I'm sure the character's interesting in the book or whatever, but yeah, it just didn't work here.
And So yeah, he's like, he's locked in the MI6 place or whatever, and he's like narrating the movie,
Oh yeah.
and we keep coming back to him, and it's black and white for no reason, and
It's because it's
he's
like
just
the camera lens, like the
yes,
interrogation camera thing.
No. Right.
I guess, but then even the shots of the dude watching him are black and white.
Are they?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like, anyway, yeah, and he's just staring at the camera narrating the movie, and it's just terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah. His voice is bad.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when he stuck his thumbs up that dude's nose?
What?
And he just like, what even happened? And he like exploded or some shit? I can't even remember.
Wait, when did that happen?
Yeah, when was this?
It was like, there was the goblin, and he stuck his thumbs up the goblin's nostrils
Did he? I thought he just like put his hands like the side of his head, didn't he?
in the cell.
Didn't he just like put him on the side of his head? Okay, I guess I'm remembering wrong.
Oh no.
He definitely stuck his thumbs right up his nostrils. That was
He was doing COVID testing.
exactly. All right. I mean, I can't avoid it any longer. I'm sorry. So, Fitzy, can you attempt for me to recount the Josh Gad scene in this movie?
Oh, okay, so he decides to tunnel underground to get to the Fowl Manor, and he opens wide, and he eats the ground and shits it out at the same time, repeatedly. It's very disturbing, and everyone should watch it. It's a must-watch scene.
He opens his jaw. This the worst CG jaw shit we talked about earlier. He like rips his jaw open to make his mouth enormous. He crouches down, starts eating the ground, I guess, eating the dirt. And as Fitzy said, his pants split open and he literally shits it out onto the camera.
Yeah.
He actually shits it out. I'm not. It was. That was the moment where it happened, and I was like, couldn't comprehend what I'd seen for 30 seconds.
Huh.
And at the end of the movie, I still wasn't even sure I had seen it. I was like, no, but he didn't actually shit on the camera, right? And then I looked it up on YouTube, and he did.
They joke about it earlier in the film, like with the goblins in the cage, where they're like, you know, oh, you're like eating dirt for a living, and it's like whatever, and they're like, you know, oh, just don't stand behind you when you do it. And I was like, oh, that implies that he shits it out. But I didn't actually think that they were going to show it on screen.
Genius foreshadowing.
And they do, and it was horrifying. I mean, like, genuinely.
That is the most. That's top 5 most terrifying things I've seen on screen. Like, it needs an R rating. You know?
Yeah, films that scared you as a child or whatever. Yeah, our question of the week.
Well, okay, what the hell else can we do? So this movie kind of just ends at one point, I guess, because they revive Butler because Judi Dench lets them, and then he's like, I'm back now. And then they, like you said, Jane, they teleport Colin Farrell back into the house, and he's like, yeah, it's all G now.
Oh, dude, the closing dialogue is so cringe.
Oh yeah.
Dude. I'm Artemis Fowl, and I'm a criminal mastermind. Oh, God. Get out of here.
I'm Artemis Fowl.
Can we get the slow-mo walking shot?
Oh, yeah.
I almost cried when I saw that. From Asterix.
I mean, like, there's just so much of the dialogue. It's just, nothing is well written at all. I mean, like, even like the opening when he's talking to his like counselor, and he's like, "Oh, you respect no one." He's like, "Of course I do." Oh, I know where this is going. He's going to say some famous like scientist. He's like, Albert Einstein. Oh, fucking obviously.
Yeah.
And like the character, like even the characters are just poorly written. I mean, like they set up like Dom to be like some badass, but you know he just gets his ass kicked the entire film. And then like his niece, they're like, "Oh yeah, she's also a badass." But then, like, what she's shown doing is serving food twice and then running away, being a damsel in distress. Like, good on you, Disney. This 1960s called. They want their character back. Honestly.
That character was the most bizarre thing I've seen in my life. The character gets a 1-minute little intro scene where we see her fencing and shit. I'm like, oh, all right, we're seeing a badass here. She does literally nothing.
Yeah.
She, like you said, she serves food. She has probably 4 lines of dialogue.
That's
and we
so
never see her again.
offensive to the character, is it not? I mean, to introduce this, brave young girl, to his first, I guess they're trying to, be a bit of an inspirational role model, whatever, and then just show her serving food. I mean, like, I don't know, like the way I took that was just like that, like that's so bad.
I totally see that, but at the same time, I think you're almost giving the film too much credit by suggesting that they even remotely like put any consideration into the character at all. You know what I mean?
When they're having the troll battle in the house and she was there for a second, I was like, who is she? Like,
Who is that?
I forgot that she was in the house with him. Yeah.
And then she was just dangling from the balcony.
Yeah,
And then she climbs up fine.
And then they fell down, didn't they? Like, her and Artemis Fowl, they fell off and they were fine. Do you remember that?
Yes.
They fell off the chandelier thing. And then
Yeah, that's right.
And then they were okay. But when the bigger guy, the Domo fell, he like collapsed or whatever.
No, he got crushed by a troll. That's why he.
Yeah, he did. But when he hit the ground, he was like, couldn't get up for a sec.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
Okay, no, don't worry, I remember what you're talking about. That's right. The thing is, Domovoy, like, I've seen the actor in, he's also in one of Guy Ritchie's films as a character called Tank, and, like, his role in that is probably, like, as equally as minor, but it's so much better, because it's just so much, it's just a much better suited role for him. So seeing him taken from that and then placed into this, it just felt so jarring to see him like this, and it just wasn't right for that actor. Did you guys feel that as well? That he was miscast?
Yeah, maybe.
Which character was this? Sorry,
The butler. Did you feel he was miscast?
Oh, right. No, not really.
No. Okay.
I like him though. Not in this movie, but yeah. So yeah.
I mean, I didn't even like earlier dialogue, like Colin Farrell's dialogue is bad. Like, what did he say? Like, oh, these fairy stories, they just have a way at the end, they make you smile. It's just.
Look, I appreciate that Jaden appreciates Colin Farrell enough to make him a pro of this movie, but he's not good in the movie at all. And there's not a single good line of dialogue in this movie. I think I'd be hard pressed to find one. And as someone who knew nothing about Artemis Fowl at all, and getting the intro sequence of Artemis Fowl going surfing, and then he goes to the little to the the therapist thing, like you said, and he heads home, and Colin Farrell starts talking about fairies and leprechauns. I was so confused. I was like, what fairies? He's talking about fairies, and he's saying like pixies were real, and the movie did just such a bad job for someone who's never heard of this franchise of this source material of in any way like transitioning me into it, where I feel like the kind of, I guess, traditional thing that filmmakers would do is that they'd give you a little intro sequence at the start of the film showing you the magical side of the world and then cutting away to the mundane stuff, and then you already have an understanding of what the fairies and shit are, kind of like how Onward did it, I guess. But this movie just I had no idea what they were talking about.
Dude, when he went surfing, I thought they were setting up some like Point Break shit for later on. I was like, all right, he's going to be surfing a massive wave, and he's going to have the Aculus in his hand, and like football toss it to, someone, I was like...
Yeah.
But then, they do nothing.
Missed opportunity, because there was a massive wave too.
I know.
Damn. The movie just has no sense of building to anything for the audience, I don't think. Like, looking back on it, I guess the climax of the movie is supposed to be when, like, the time force field is collapsing around them and shit, I guess. But in that moment, there was just no sense of any urgency or that I was even getting towards the end of the movie. I felt like everything that had happened so far was the most drawn-out first act of any other movie. And then this was supposed to be the climax of the movie. And then we get 20 minutes at the end where everyone just kind of hugs, and Artemis does he gets like Bond shots and shit, and he is like, I'm a criminal mastermind, and I'm like, I don't know anything you've done in this movie to even be classified as a criminal mastermind. Did he even do anything illegal until the end?
Wait, what did he do illegally at the end?
He rescued Josh Gad? That's the only thing illegal, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, probably.
I guess so.
I mean, like, but throughout the rest of the film, I mean, like, it's other people doing the work for him anyway, isn't it? I mean, like, the butler
Yeah.
shows him, like, all his dad's stuff, and, like, the fairy tells him this and that, and then, it feels like everyone else is doing stuff for him until, I guess he masterminds the breakout, yeah.
Yeah. It was just such a jarring thing for me where, again, maybe fans of the books already know him as that, so whatever, but watching it, I've witnessed this really smart kid protect this acorn thing and bring back his dad, and now he's telling me he's a criminal mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it at all. And then at the end, when they rescued Josh Gad and they were flying away in the helicopter, and then the what's her name, the short chick, the fairy chick, was just there for some reason.
Yeah.
I think another character that has to be pointed out is that, like, lieutenant that Opal, like, frees, and then, like, he's meant to be, like, a bit of a spanner in the works, but then he rocks up and he just starts saying some stuff, and then, he takes Judi Dench out of power, but then, like, when something needs to be happening, the captain's like, oh, should I do this? And Judi Dench is like, I didn't make you captain for nothing. So then he does it anyway, and, like, effectively, like, reducing that character to, like, absolutely nothing at all.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's...
Wait, so Judi Dench has someone who outranks him. Like, what's the point of him then?
Yeah, I know. Like, it just...
So you said the villain's name was Opal, news to me.
I'm pretty sure it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Opal kidnaps Artemis Fowl, senior Colin Farrell off screen, I guess, and she just kind of has him hostage. And as far as we understand, she just wants the Oculus Rift. So, and she just pops up like 3 times in the movie. She just like gives him a call and just reminds him, oh yeah, And she has that. I don't know why the phone like projects green on her face, but anyway, and. And yeah, I was convinced this has to be a reveal because we've got the villain of the movie apparently kidnapping Colin Farrell. It's a pretty significant thing I think to do in a screenplay, and it's a hooded figure. Who is this person? Speaking like a kind of a, what would you call it? Like a messed up voice, modulated voice. And okay, well this is going to be someone, right? And then the movie just like ends. So.
Yeah, no, I thought it would be a reveal too. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you thought that. Yeah. I was very confused. Just to kind of drive it home a little bit more. Let's bring up some more terrible dialogue and rub salt in the wound. Terrible acting and shit. All right. So, Artemis, when his dad's on the news for being a criminal, he's like, he's not a criminal. He's my dad.
Oh yeah.
And just like screams it over and over again, and it's just like, well, okay, all right. I don't know if you know much about your dad's professional activities.
Just yeah.
I think the dialogue that needs to be pointed out is like cliche. When Judi Dench is talking to Short and she's like, "You're 84, you're young. You've got plenty of time
that
to
shit
do."
was terrible.
I'm like, oh god. I mean, it's like, like lines like that have truly like stayed their welcome and just need to be like just banished from screenplays.
Yeah, I generally agree. It especially doesn't really work in this movie when you can almost like hear it in the delivery of the lines that they expect the audience to go, oh, she's 804? Like, what?
He's serving a 400-year sentence? What?
You can always, like, they always, like, leave room for the audience to react to that. I'm like, holy, what? You're telling me she's 80? Just, so, they capture, Artemis captures the fairy chick Short, and, there was a line of dialogue, did this happen? Okay, this is another was I dreaming moment, where she wakes up, she, like, jerks up, and she just says, not happy.
I don't remember that, but that's hilarious. Oh god.
That
it rings a bell. I think yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It just wakes up, not happy, and then cuts away.
Oh god.
That actually was like a 3-year-old was on set that day and directed that scene. Kenneth is out to lunch. Can your kid step in and do this? One thing I haven't even touched on yet, my specialty, of course, Dude, the action scenes in this movie are awful. The action sequences. I love when we get our kind of first glimpse of them when they're kind of out on the just outside the front door of the house. I guess they're in kind of, I don't know, like the porch space, and a few fairies come in and start attacking them, and then we get the little sequence where they try and do some Matrix shit with like a ton of camera movement and 360 shit and lots of CG everywhere, of Artemis and Butler taking out these fairies and shit, and it looks just terrible. It's so bad that you can. I have only seen it once on normal speed. You can see the cuts in between, like trying to make it all look like one shot. You can clearly see where, okay, I just saw that cut right there when you were drawing that bow, and it happened like 3 times in like the space of 30 seconds. Just terrible.
Yeah, I mean the movie has like almost nothing going for it, really. And like as I said, if they went to different locations and places, it might have been better and had them meet people on the way or something. But the fact that like
Sure.
80% of this movie is just in this one set in the house makes it so bad.
Absolutely. And you'd think, if you're keeping it so confined into this space, that you could at least, from that, create a focused story. But even the story's really confusing and convoluted. And they don't even really have a lot to play with. There's literally one MacGuffin, like 5 characters, and 1 location. And it's somehow still confusing.
And like in the trailer, they had like different places that they were, like they had another country or something that I was supposed to go to, and other characters and stuff. Like there was this white fairy character that was in the trailer, and there all these different cuts in the trailer that aren't in the movie.
It's always a shame hearing about that kind of shit, I think, just because, so much effort kind of went into these different spaces, these different areas that we never see, and they just have to be cut because, I mean, the fact that they were cut, I would assume that it would be even more of a mess with them, so.
Yeah, maybe.
How did you guys feel about the centaur?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I forgot about him.
He was like Link from The Matrix. Like, serves the exact same role, Like, just cut back to him and he's like, just saying shit.
I mean, he serves like the same role that, like, 2 million other characters doing it in 2 million other films,
That's true. I did specifically think of Link just because we'd watched The Matrix.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But, like, he's just like the tech guy, but, like, he's such a poor iteration of the tech guy. And
They're trying to be diverse, include, horses can now be tech guys, I'll hit you with some trivia. Okay. The movie rights to Artemis Fowl was sold to Disney before the first book ever got published. That's insane.
What?
Next. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, I just said, wow, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. It is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Colin Farrell's involvement in the film was not announced until March 2020, which is, 3 months ago? Nearly a year and a half after the teaser trailer was released and 3 years after filming wrapped.
I mean, he's only in like 4 scenes, so it's not that hard to, like, keep on the down low.
Yeah, conceal everything. And who's on set, like, really excited about this movie? Man, I've got a leak that Colin Farrell's in this amazing film that we're making here. Finally, Dame Judi Dench's casting as Commander Root, the head of a secret police of fairies, is a homage to Dench's previous role in the James Bond films as M, the chief of the Secret Intelligence Service. Wow. Judi Dench being put in charge of 2 organisations and 2 separate film franchises. What an amazing reference. We've torn this movie apart, okay? Do you stand by anything you do like about it, Jane? You stood by the cinematography earlier. Is there anything else?
No, that's literally it. Like, I after it was done, I sat there for a good while just trying to think back, like, was there anything I actually appreciated? I mean, cinematography and set design kind of with the fairy city sort of like type of stuff was like kind of cool, I guess. But, like, that's all. Like, there's I cannot think of anything else like that I actually genuinely thought, oh, that's decent about the film.
Yeah, have you got any positives, Fitzy?
Not really. Even like the Gaelic music they tried to add like personality to the film was annoying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Man, I saw
Yeah.
someone called it like the least Irish film there is.
All right.
I guess that speaks to how, I don't know anything about Irish films, obviously, because I will say, don't get me wrong, this is not a positive of the movie. Just from my personal experience, I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of different for me to hear a lot of Irish accents in these kind of movies. I was like, not a positive by any stretch of the imagination. I was just like, wow, I'd like to see more of this in better movies.
Yeah, this is gonna be like the one Irish Disney film ever. You know, they're gonna be known
Yeah.
for this one.
Yeah, they'll never go back after this.
Wait, is Brave Scottish or Irish?
Scottish.
Oh, yes, yeah, you're right, yeah. Well then, all right. Oh, I mean, positives for me. The movie's colourful. I mean, I can give it that. Like, I don't know, that doesn't really add barely any points, but I will say that. At least it's not, the most dull thing to look at. But yeah, it has other visual issues too, where the beginning 10 minutes of the movie is such a clash of visual styles. I mentioned the black and white, like MI6 footage for no reason. It was just why. I hate the fonts clashing. We go back and forth in the first. I apologize for this. This is such a me thing to complain about, but in the first 10 minutes, we have the credit fonts popping up for like a Kenneth Branagh film are like super stylized, like meant to be kind of, I guess, ancient looking kind of Irish vibe things. And then we end up using like a super high tech font for MI6, and then we go back and forth between the two fonts. I'm like, just choose a font for fuck's sake. But anyway, sorry.
The font's just a motif for like the fairies and the MI6. That's why they change up between them.
But like back and forth. Oh my god.
I'm just saying
I
random
know.
stuff, yeah.
I know. I appreciate it. All right. Artemis Fowl out of 10. I'll go first. I'll give the movie a 2 out of 10. I don't think it's a 1 because at the end of the day, I couldn't give it a 1 in my right mind because I had the amount of enjoyment that this movie has brought me. I was laughing hysterically watching it multiple times. It is a film I'm not going to forget anytime soon, I don't think. At least it's not a forgettable movie. And it has boring parts, but overall, I thought it was really hilariously terrible at a lot of times, and I think it is worth watching in some vein for that reason, if that's your kind of up your alley. So for that reason, I can't give it a 1, but I give it a 2 because it is absolutely terrible. How about you, Jen?
I can't even look at it in that vein of it being so bad it's funny, because like it just isn't. It's not funny at all to me. Like, it was just horrid. It was truly just a dull affair, and like just rolling my eyes constantly, and just I was so taken out of it. I just didn't care at all about anything that happened.
Sure,
But like
yeah.
it's just a 1-star film for me, and like I don't give out 1 stars often because I feel like there's always something to be appreciated about a film. There's always some work that people have put in, like to go really hard at. So I always feel like giving a 1's a bit of an injustice to the film. But like that, like I just couldn't help it with this because like it was like I said at the start, I genuinely hated watching this film, and few films have given me that experience. Like, yeah, 1 star.
Sorry, just to be clear, you 1 out of 10?
1 out of 10, correct? Yeah.
Perfect. Fitzy?
Yeah. Well, like there's terrible things that you can laugh at here, but it's mainly just not like those moments are few and far between in between all the really the boring chunk. The good chunk of the movie is just boring because none of the elements are good and keep you invested. So I mean, even with the terrible moments you can laugh at, like I don't know how much credit I should give the movie for that. So I'll give it a 1 out of 10 as well. There's really nothing I can, say that was good about it. So, yeah.
I get you. I guess for me, it was just, I mean, you guys obviously weren't as quite as entertained by the terrible moments as I was, and the only thing this movie could have done worse was be more boring. And I have to say, for me, it wasn't the most dull thing I've ever seen. And as a result, yeah, I can't give it a 1. But who cares? We're splitting hairs. We all think it's absolutely awful.
I think even if it like maybe it isn't the most dull thing I've ever seen, but I think it's the fact that it tries to be exciting, but it still ends up dull. Just makes it seem even more boring to me. You know,
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've probably watched action films that are, completely uninvested, boring or more boring than this, but it's, just from a technical perspective, you gotta, like, sometimes the most boring movies are like, kind of average, 6 out of 10 kind of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
definitely,
still have
definitely.
things going for them, but, this doesn't, so.
I mean, look, if the only compliment I can give the movie is that it could have been a bit more boring, then
Yeah.
not speaking too highly of it. But anyway, if you haven't seen the film, make sure you absolutely have to check out Josh Gad shitting on the camera.
Oh, yeah.
It was a once in a lifetime scene, I think.
I mean, when writers and producers like they agree to do scenes like that, do they actually think that they're? I mean, I guess we have to keep in mind we're not the primary audience. I mean, like 12-year-old kids are, but I mean, like, do they think they're doing a good job in like including like scenes and shots like that?
That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe they think they're servicing a 4 to 7 year old audience potentially. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Let's get to news chat, guys. We got a we got a Fallout Amazon Prime series was announced yesterday. That's pretty exciting. I know. Me and Jaden are Fallout fans. I don't know. Do you have any attachment to Fallout, Fitzy? I'm not sure.
Oh, the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Mission Impossible.
Oh, my apologies. No, no, no.
No, I haven't played Fallout.
All good. But yeah, so we're getting this Fallout Amazon TV series. We don't know anything else about it other than, of course, headed by Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan. Westworld, are you shitting me, dude? What a combo! What a strange combo. But I mean, I'm all about it. That sounds super exciting. I don't know. Yeah, what could it be about, Jane? Have you got any ideas? Are we gonna pick a time period, pick a setting, and stick with it, or yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not too sure because like I remember back when Fallout 4 released, like in the months following that, there was like heaps of rumors about a Fallout 4 like movie adaptation, and it's like that's like the Fallout 4 piece, like that's a Fallout like media that I've been thinking was going to come. So when the TV series was announced, I was pretty surprised. Um,
Yeah.
with picking a time and setting, I'm not really sure because I mean like I think like what Fallout 3 is like what the most celebrated, isn't it, of the series? I guess that in New Vegas.
Arguably New Vegas.
Yeah.
Arguably New Vegas.
Um,
Yeah.
so whether they choose to adapt like the storyline of like one of the big films or like one of the big games, or whether they just choose to take a different direction. It's interesting that this was announced because like I was going to talk about in like my what I've watched this week, but like because like we watched Watchmen, I watched Watchmen, and like it creates this alternative history, and I was going to compliment like media that does that, and it was like Fallout was going to be another like item I bring up about that. So like
Yeah.
so Fallout 4 creates, well, not Fallout 4, like just the Fallout series creates this alternate history, and it does it really well. Where it's like this really, like the America still got like this 1960s Art Deco aesthetic, and like like certain
Yeah.
like inventions were never involved, like created, and like they're like still steampunk like mechanics and stuff like that. So I think I think like it's a really rich world that they can just take from, and they don't have to adapt a story from. So I think they've got so much they can do with it. So yeah.
Definitely. I don't. They could adapt one of the games. I don't think they will though.
No,
And
I don't
the
think they
way
will.
that the way that Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy were talking about it, they had a little statement. And the way they complimented the universe and said they were fans of the universe and we were looking forward to exploring more. I don't know exactly what they said, but it was paraphrasing something along the lines of we're really looking forward to exploring the kind of satirical, political, that kind of side of the world more, which is obviously at the heart of what Fallout is, which is really interesting. But I
Mhm.
think that statement alone to me kind of rings like, okay, you're not adapting something here. You're digging into the universe, but you're going to tell us a new story.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, I don't know.
I think also if they were to adapt Fallout 4, it'd be a bit too similar to Westworld, I guess, like with the synths and stuff. I mean, like it's nothing
Oh,
alike,
definitely.
but like like it's nothing alike, but it's the same as well.
Yeah.
So I think they should probably stay away from that game. I'm keen for that though. Very keen for it.
Yeah, and I don't think any of the game stories by themselves, like outside of video games, really work. Because at the end of the day, Fallout 3 story is about finding your dad. At the end of the day, Fallout 4 story is about finding your son. I don't know how riveting you can make that in a TV series. It works in video game format, but
What's
yeah,
New
I don't know.
Vegas'
I
storyline
think
again? Because you're like a mailman, aren't you, or something like that? Like you're a courier.
yeah, I believe. Yeah, I don't know New Vegas as well. I believe it's something like that. I think it's more general. I don't even know how you'd kind of go about adapting it because I think it's very much rooted in the character progression and the quests and things.
Do you think that they will at least take a setting that we've seen from the games, or do you reckon they'll just abandon the games completely and just choose a new setting as well?
I think they'd choose a new setting. I think so. We've seen, excluding Fallout 1 and 2, but, we've seen Washington, D.C., we've seen Boston, and we've seen, obviously, Las Vegas. And I think they can, if I were them, I'd choose another city, and I think they probably will.
Yeah, I do love like Boston. I do love like the Fallout 4 map though. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's superb, and like I'd have no quarrels like seeing that world on screen.
I saw some speculation that potentially they could do like an anthology series where every episode is set somewhere else in a different vault, in a different city or something, and that could be interesting. I don't know if they'd do it, but it's not really their style.
Well, I guess yeah. That's another question. Like, will they focus on like a vault dweller like the games do, or do you reckon they would just like some random surface people?
Yeah, it could be anything. I do think focusing on a vault dweller, the story I think is going to be a lot more complicated, like I said, but focusing on a vault dweller, I think is a pretty safe way to make sure that the story is still kind of grounded in what we know, even though it's probably going to be quite more complex and different.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it'd be kind of jarring if we're just thrown into some, we're following these raiders.
I think the vault they choose will be interesting as well because you know how like each vault was actually like an experiment. So like whatever like vault they choose as an experiment will also like speak levels to the show. I think as well.
Definitely.
And what service is it coming to?
Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Who knows when it comes out? We've known about that Amazon Lord of the Rings show for like 3 years at this point, and I don't even believe that's begun production yet. So, at least for principal photography anyway. So, this show could still be 5 years away. It's hard to say. But,
Yeah. So do you reckon that would interfere with like Westworld's schedule of like how many more seasons was it that you said, like 4 more seasons?
Yeah. 3 or 4 more seasons. Yeah. So that's a good point. I would be surprised if they actually show run this show. I think Westworld would still be their main priority because the main thing from the statement that they'd put out was the fact that I can't even remember what the name of Joy and Nolan's production company is, but whatever the name of that company is, they're producing the Fallout show. So naturally they're going to be involved, but I think that we're probably going to see a different team of writers and showrunners. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. Cool. We got Margot Robbie is going to be in a Pirates of the Caribbean spin-off, apparently. I saw this kind of headline, Jane. I didn't really click into it. Is this a solid report? What do we know about this? Do you know if it's like confirmed? I doubt it's confirmed, but is it from reliable sources? Do you know?
Well, it's just rumors at this point, as far as I'm aware. But like, I think the thing is that because like there's meant to be there's already a spin-off of Pirates of the Caribbean like reportedly in the works that comes from the Chernobyl writer Craig Mazin. But this isn't the Margot Robbie one. Apparently, this is one from the Birds of Prey script writer, and that's the one that Margot is going to be attached to. Yeah, so I mean, like, there's 2 Pirates of the Caribbean like spin-offs in the works. So, I don't know. I'm not really too sure what's happening with either of them, apart from one writer's attached to this and Margot's attached to that. So,
I mean, I guess I'd be. I don't know if I'd be interested. Maybe. I don't know. Would any of you care about this?
Yeah. Another Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I saw somewhere people wanted Johnny Depp back for one of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Would he be like a main character? Maybe.
Don't know.
A cameo? I don't know. Johnny Depp's great though. We got Finally, the Academy has been adding members like there's no tomorrow with a new focus on diversity, which is great. And they're doing this ahead of the delayed 2021 Academy Awards. Jane, you told me earlier. Do you know how many new members they added and all the specifics?
819 new members. And
wow, okay.
So they had a goal of meeting a quota of adding more women, more people of color and stuff. And like they I'm pretty sure they well and truly met that with in this intake. Some of the big names are like Zendaya and like Florence Pugh and Ari Aster and like Park So-dam. Yeah, but I mean, obviously like that's gonna influence what we see being nominated and winning next year, because with this diversity, I mean, different projects will appeal to different people. So how this how much it's going to influence it, I'm not sure, because like it's still gonna. I don't know how much I don't know what the current weighting is in terms of gender and race and whatever, but it is another avenue of representation. So maybe we will be seeing a more diverse lineup next year.
Yeah, I mean the potential for that sounds cool. I mean, this is just a universally positive thing, I guess. I didn't even really know prior to that like who the Academy comprised of. So has it always been? It's always just a collection of actors and directors, I guess. So I didn't even understand that.
Yeah,
so
it's just a bunch.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio actually votes on movies?
Yeah, I know. Like Edgar Wright's the main one that I'm because I follow Edgar Wright, and he's pretty like well connected on like most platforms. So he tweets out and he puts up photos and whatever. And like so like I get like a lot of my stuff from him, and like so he watches every film that is nominated before he puts his nominations in, and like whether everyone does that, or whether people just watch in their categories or what, and what influences their choices as well. So I mean, there's a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, interesting. In my brain, the Academy was always just like didn't even really think about it. There's some kind of like elusive group of 100 people who
it's the cult
just
from
kind of
Bloodshot.
I'm not even joking. But now that I actually think about it, that's kind of what I was thinking. Not like in a violent way, but just like they're just these people that sit in a boardroom and do nothing but do this creepy shit. But okay, I didn't even really understand that the people like getting nominated and the people in the room on the night are actually voting. Okay, yeah.
Whenever they thank the Academy, they're just thanking the room. I mean, because like I used to have like a similar thing to you, like where I thought like it was just like a bunch of people in a room and just like just tossing their votes, but what gives them the right to do it? But it makes sense that it is like just well regarded, industry professionals or whatever.
Yeah,
definitely. What have you guys been watching this week? Fitzy, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Bunch of stuff. The Blair Witch Project. Found footage classic horror movie. It succeeds, I think, because like they don't show you much. They just kind of hint at the horror. They're like stuck in the woods and they hear sounds around them, and it just gets more tense as the movie goes on. So that was good. River's Edge. It's stars Keanu Reeves and Crispin Glover, the guy who played George McFly.
Oh yeah.
And this 80s movie, it's a bunch of friends, and one of them kills this girl who was part of their friend group, and they have like varying reactions to it. Basically, Crispin Glover's like wants to protect him and like doesn't care about her, and Keanu Reeves is like obviously, oh, this is bad, wants to report him, and it's just kind of about our capacity for like apathy and like not caring, and kind of exploration of this nihilistic 80s culture, I guess. The Descent, horror movie. Bunch of women get stuck in a cave with creatures in it. It's very claustrophobic. and yeah, it's good, scary, and
Oh, yeah.
two more. Thief. It's a Michael Mann film, and it's probably his best character study film. I think it kind of follows this. It's James Caan from The Godfather. He played Sonny, and he's this kind of aggressive, like independent, hardworking guy, like some of Mann's characters. The guys from Heat and Vincent from Collateral. Was it Vincent or Tom Cruise's
Yeah.
character?
Yeah.
And it's just about him and how he's like anti-authority, anti-people, and how he became to come that way. It's very stylish, like noir, like Mann's films, and I'm pretty sure it's probably shot in film. It looks like it. So yeah, that was good. Another Michael Mann. It's kind of he's got a kind of running thing of like noir and like this character who's like independent and stuff. So
Yeah.
and then for a few dollars more, which is another. How do you say it? Jane Eni? Oh, I know it's Sergio Leone. A Sergio Leone film, part of the Dollars trilogy, the second one, and it's really brilliant as well. I still like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly more, but it's good in its own way, I guess. If you like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, then definitely watch that as well. So yeah.
Cool. Do the other Dollars movies have that same theme?
No.
Nah, but like the one from For a Few Dollars More is like just as iconic. I think. Like I'm sure you would have heard of it. Like once
Yeah.
you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you remember I said
okay.
in when we were discussing The Good, the Bad, the Ugly? I think that they used the theme
Right.
from that by Angel Eyes. Do you remember that now, or was it?
Which theme do you mean?
So like that main so like when they're having the Mexican standoff at the end, like
Yeah.
when they cut to Angel Eyes, I swear for a second that there's just a hint of that theme from For a Few Dollars More. I mean, it doesn't really make sense because he plays completely different characters, but like, I think it'd be a cool
Probably.
homage to that film in his own universe, whatever. Yeah.
Does how do you say it? Like Ennio Morricone? Is that how you say it?
Ennio Morricone, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Does he do the first one as well?
I'm pretty sure he does. I'm pretty sure he scored all three of them.
Yeah, that's good.
Terrific. How about you, Jen?
I had a pretty stacked week as well, I guess. I watched It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Holy shit.
It's a 1960s comedy, and it's just about it's just about these four groups of people, and they find out about this massive stack of treasure, not treasure, like this massive stack of money from this dying guy, and it's all a race together. It's kind of like Wacky Races, to be honest, but I mean, it pretty much is that, to be honest. Did you guys watch more Wacky Races when you were younger?
No.
No. I
No.
don't believe so.
Well, it's just like, I mean, it's pretty much just a road race, but like some crazy shit happens. Like some people are flying, and then like the pilot gets knocked out, and then they're doing weird stuff, and and they teach
Right.
more people about because someone's car will break down, so then they hitchhike with someone, they tell them about the money, but then that person betrays them and then drives off on their own. It's like more and more people become involved, and in the end, it's 14 people going after this stack. It's pretty good. It's way too long though. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it's decently funny, but because of its runtime, it's just it loses some of its charm.
Right.
I watched Hemmel, which is Danish for heaven. It stars Hannah Hoekstra, who is her face is what they modeled Aloy off for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah. You can really see it.
Oh, okay.
I saw people calling it like the Danish version of Shame, Fitzy, if that is anything to you. That was really good. At the start, I wasn't too convinced. It was just, I don't know, it was a bit dull, but as it went on, it kind of built upon itself, and it was really fantastic. And like the film does a really brilliant job of conveying what Hemel is feeling, and like the way that she feels on screen. I mean, like you feel that same way inside you, and like few films have done that so well for me personally. Like like there's this one chapter, like it's a chapter, it's in chapters, and one of them's called Infatuated, and like in that scene, she's just she's beyond happy, and like you can't help but feeling that way as well, because the colors and the acting and the way it's all comes together. So Hemel was pretty fantastic.
Awesome.
I watched 1984. It stars John Hurt, and it's obviously an adaptation of George Orwell's novel, 1984. That was pretty good. I was expecting a bit more from it. I guess I don't know. I haven't read the novel, but I think it just wasn't what I was expecting. But it's still like a really good film. I watched Nymphomaniac Volume 2. Not as good as Volume 1. Like I love Volume 1 so much. I think it's a brilliant character study. Volume 2 is pretty much the same thing, I guess, but like it's just a bit weaker in its elements in like overall. I watched Watchmen the TV series, as I mentioned before.
Oh yeah.
That was really fantastic. I think I was talking to you last week about how I put it on hold for half a year, and like this week I finally just got back to it and pumped it all out. That's really brilliant. I love the way that Lindelof has adapted Alan Moore's graphic novel, and he's kept so much of it, but he's also updated all of the themes for today. But it still fits so well with what Moore originally wrote. Alan Moore hates his own work though, and he swears off anything that's adapted from it, or any like his actual thing. Like
Oh really?
He hates V for Vendetta as well, and he doesn't even give it the chance. He doesn't even give it the time of day, and he hates his own work. But I think if Alan Moore was to give this a chance, I have a feeling he'd like it, because I mean it's just such a brilliant adaptation.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah.
I watched The Descent Part 2, which is pretty horrid. The first Descent is brilliant. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I think it's fantastic. It crafts. I mean, I think I spoke about it like 3 months ago on the show. The way it crafts its tension and its horror is really superb. And it ends so brilliantly and bleakly. Actually, Fitzy, what? I can't ask you what ending you got without spoiling it.
Yeah, no, I think I got the
Yeah,
Blake. Yeah,
yeah. There's a really brilliant bleak ending that the first one has, but it was changed for American audiences because it was too dark. And it also left room for a sequel, obviously. And this sequel just shouldn't have happened in the first place, and it is just absolutely horrid. Like it just doesn't do anything well at all. And then I watched Agide, The Wrath of God. I think it's Werner Herzog's most popular film. I didn't love it too much. Someone described it as like half memorizing and half dull, and like I couldn't agree with that more. Like because like you are pulled into it, but like it's such a boring and slow film. I mean, like the opening shot is just 5 minutes of people walking down a mountain, and they're just in the Amazon and they're just floating down the river, and like there's never any really tension or any sense of adventure or anything at all. And I mean, like it's meant to be like so this film is what inspired Apocalypse Now, and it's meant to be about the same. It's meant to be like similar in like people like being driven mad by the jungle and whatever, and like you see that in the film, but like it's just done in such a boring manner that it's hard to care too much. So
Apocalypse Now is also an adaptation of a novel though, Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness, yeah.
Yeah.
But like what? So like Apocalypse Now is an adaptation of Heart of Darkness, but I think I'm pretty sure like Coppola drew a lot of inspiration from Makide. Yeah, so like that was a 6 out of 10. Because it was decent, but it was just pretty boring. Again, that kind of goes to what Fitzy was saying before about dull films that are kind of just sixes because they have other stuff going for them.
Cool. I've just looked up this Hemel chick, by the way, and gee, she looked exactly like Aloy. You're not wrong. I watched Into the Wild, a Sean Penn film from 2007. Have you guys seen this?
No, but doesn't it star Emil Hirsch, right?
Yeah.
It does. It does. Yeah. Okay. Did you like it, Fitzy? Because I really liked it.
Yeah. It's good. Some people really love it or hate it though, because
Really?
just because of just like in terms of not as much. Some people love or hate the movie, but it's mainly because of the decisions the character makes. Like a lot of people really love or hate the guy or the decisions. Like they agree or disagree with what his kind of lifestyle or whatever.
I think that's the most interesting thing the film does.
Yeah.
It really is all about this person and decisions he makes and why he makes them, and delves deep into it. And I think it really does a good job of that because, we're exposed to. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you even know anything about it, Jaden? I'm sorry, I'm jumping into.
Not really. It's on my watch list, but I haven't really looked into it too much.
So it's just this dude who's finished college and he decides to just abandon his family and his entire way of life, have no possessions, and walk basically to Alaska. That's literally basically it, and it's about what he finds along the way and all that shit. No, I really like it, and I think the movie did a good job of we spend so much time with him in these very and all the characters and interactions he has along the way. So we very much see that he's a good person and he has good intentions with what he's done. But I think the film, without spoiling it, I think it does a really good job of kind of weighing up both sides of he's also kind of an asshole for what he did. And the pain he causes and what he's left with as a result of all that. I think it's got a lot of heart, and I think Sean Penn did a really good job of kind of capturing, I guess, what I assume would be the heart of the story of just trying to weigh up that character. And I think it's cool that people dislike the character and for that reason, because I think that's kind of, really driving home at what the movie's trying to do. So I think that makes it really effective.
And the person as well. It's based on a true story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's all I got. So now we have to get into the question of the show. Last week's question we asked you was, how often do you cry in films? We're about to expose some fools. Henry wrote in and said, I cry fairly rarely during films, but I do think it's a sign that I've really connected with its characters, specifically if a character dies and I feel attached enough to said character to get emotional about it. Some examples being Grave of the Fireflies. That's a Studio Ghibli film, right?
Yeah.
I think. Nailed it. And most recently, A Bridge to Terabithia being the oldest I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that is
The Bridge.
Huh. I've heard of that movie.
Oh,
Weird.
dude.
Yeah.
When I've seen it so many times as a kid or whatever. I swear
Really?
it was always on the TV. The Bridge to Terabithia.
Oh, okay. Cool. Killing dogs or animals is a cheap way to get me or any audience to cry, in my opinion, though. I partially agree with that. I'll get into it more a bit in a second. Lachlan says, the elusive Lachlan, I'm pretty much as emotional as a brick when watching a movie.
Yeah, except for when he gets scared from the bloody zombies in Mather and Scorched Trials.
He's never going to live that down, is he?
No.
Luke wrote in and said, Attack of the Clones, where not just the men died, but the women and the children too. Yeah, so thanks, Luke.
Paul said the dog one, right?
He did. Paul wrote in and said, Marley and me, if you don't cry, then you can't be my friend. Any movie with a story of companionship between a human and a dog, all the way back to Old Yeller, Lassie, The Littlest Hobo, not heard of that one, A Dog's Life, Marley and me is the best and the saddest, though. Paul, that is a terrific answer, and it's the answer that the answer that probably resonates with me the most. I partially agree with Henry. I think, killing animals is obviously kind of a surefire bet, at least for a lot of people, and it definitely is for me. But I do appreciate, I've definitely had plenty of examples where I think a film handles it very carefully, and actually, instead of it just being like, okay, you killed the dog, now I have to feel sad, no shit. Like, I've seen films that I think builds to that moment and builds companionship, of course, because dogs are our best friend, man's best friend. You know, so where it actually is effective in that way, I think. What comes to like Lassie? Lassie's genuinely a good one. I think there are a few Lassie films that I like Lassie. No shame. A few Lassie films definitely do that. There's this film named Hachi, dude. Holy shit! This movie is just the most depressing shit ever. Oh my god! And I could, you know, outline the plot of the movie, and I think every human being on the planet would find it depressing without even watching it. And watching it is just a whole lot worse. But yeah. I generally appreciate though that yes, killing animals can be cheap for sure. But other than that, yeah, Pixar movies get me. Good old Pixar. For me, it's generally probably mostly comes down to Pixar or dogs. It's kind of or cats, of course. Well, some combination of them, and then when you combine the two, that's when it all goes to shit. And I also cried in Artemis Fowl, so there you go. What about you guys?
I don't really cry often in the movies, but like I definitely get like emotional at times, like what is something like Pan's Labyrinth or like I don't know, like the Perks of Being a Wallflower or something like that. But the one the one time I do remember being pretty erratically emotional was at the end of Mr. Robot, the TV series.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like the last like scene, just like I was like emotional for like 15 minutes, and then I rewatched it, and I was like crying again. It was just I think because TV shows like you have that much more time to be invested as well. It's like you can kind of more of a chance at crying, I guess, but that's yeah, that's one thing I can remember.
I agree with Fitzy that like it's don't cry often, but like you become emotional. Grave of the Fireflies is a good shout. That brought me to the edge. So did All Quiet on the Western Front. Not it's not sad in the same way that Grave of the Fireflies is, but I feel like it's just so much more. It's not so much more depressing. They're depressing in their own ways, but because in All Quiet on the Western Front, you follow this group of boys from this one class, and you just see them and how as they eventually become less and less, and it's so bloody sad. Like the fact that they were sold lies and they were sent to their death, but it's like All Quiet on the Western Front's kind of there. I think the last time I actually cried though, I think is at the end of Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. I think
Your favorite movie?
yeah, one of my favorite movies. I think films like that are kind of they do get me. I think Perks of Being a Wallflower is a good shout as well. Ruby Sparks is another one. Yeah, I think yeah. But yeah, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl was the last time I cried. I think. Actually, Fitzy was brought up a good point about TV series. The Red Wedding was really hard to watch as well.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was just more kind of. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was just kind of more very shocked by it, and I was kind of like mouth agape, kind of like I can't wait to watch the next episode, kind of thing. I didn't really. Yeah.
At first, I think it was a shock type of thing, but then like as the scene goes on, and like Rob is just standing there, and he just doesn't know what's going on, and his wife is like she's getting stabbed in the stomach, and the baby, it's like, oh god,
Wow. I just laughed at that. How sadistic am I?
yeah.
Yeah, the Red Wedding. I've kind of always, in a strange way, I've seen it. I don't know. I've probably seen it like 5 times. Every time I never get sad by it. I just think it's awesome. Not like the visceral nature of the violence, obviously, but just I just, as a story choice in in book form and in TV form, I just think it's so such an awesome kind of twist, I guess, but that shouldn't be a twist because it's so obvious. I just think it's such a cool and creative narrative beat that I don't know, I never really get sad in it.
What about video games? Have you ever cried? Video games? Because I mean, like that's another thing where you have a massive like attachment over like 20 odd hours.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
Last of Us. Did the ending of the first Last of Us get at you any at all?
No, I don't think so. Just watching it on YouTube doesn't really have the same effect.
Oh, that's
the first time, the first time, dude. Like, honestly, The Last of Us Part 2 got me close. Great question though. I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. That's the only one that came to my head immediately because it's so recent.
When I think even at the start of the first Last of Us was his daughter's name was Sierra, wasn't it? Like even when she died,
Yeah.
like that was like that was hard, you know.
Yeah. All the who are the people they meet along the way?
Sam and Henry.
Yeah, them, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I can't even get emotional on that one just because it's so shocking. It's clearly meant to be shocking because then we hard cut to 3 months later.
Oh, dude.
You don't even get time to process it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time that I experienced that, I was so devastated.
Thanks for tuning in to Cinema Buffet. Thank you for your responses. We appreciate them. They were pretty good this week. Good mix of Lachlan's cold heart, Luke's humour, some genuine answers too. We appreciate that combo, I think. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
We are doing the Five Bloods by Spike Lee, and that's on Netflix. So, yeah.
Another new 2020 film, which is exciting.
Sure, all right, let's go.
I personally, I don't know the reception to this movie at all. Everyone might think it's terrible. Everyone might think it's a masterpiece. I've got no idea. I haven't seen a single review or a single score. So I'm going into it with no expectations. I'm excited. Haven't seen the trailer either.
Yeah, I'm kind of still. I think I've heard a bit more about it, in terms of like review wise, and I'm also aware of an element that Spike uses in the film. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty blind with it as well. I haven't seen the trailer either, but yeah, Fitzy, have you?
Yeah, I've heard a little, but not much. But yeah. So it's by the director of Black Klansman, and he's done a ton of classic stuff like Do the Right Thing, and he did a biopic on like Malcolm X, I think. So yeah.
Have you seen Do the Right Thing?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's very very clever social commentary that's like still relevant today and stuff. So
Oh, cool.
it's very good movie, important movie. So yeah.
Oh, good. I wanted to check it out, so I will. Okay. Well, that's enough from us. Jane and Fitzy, thanks for joining me as always.
Thanks. Cheers.
No worries.
Bye. What's the response to that? I didn't know. Is it do we say thanks back or do we say bye? I've completely blanked. Jeez.
Just thanks. Or how would you respond in real life? I don't know. Thanks. No worries.
Thanks for joining me. No worries. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you hated it, you can say, well,
Yeah, I hate the fact that you had to put me through this. So actually, yeah, no, it hasn't been a good time.
Thanks for hosting us, Zach.
That's all right. I'm not hosting you? I don't know about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not in my house.
Right.
You know?
So
Anyway. Yeah, how dare you? All right. We've talked too much. We'll see you all next week. Next time. Have a good week, and goodbye.